So Apple gave us the M1, a truly amazing processor. They also gave us the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. We can understand the naming scheme. We got the iPhone 13 Pro, iPad Pro, AirPods Max. But then when Apple came up with this name, the M1 Ultra, I kind of think they were being lazy. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I'm guessing a lot of you saw the Apple event where Apple released some truly amazing products, and then there were like the one or two that I was like, okay. So Apple gave us a new iPad Air with M1, which I think is great. They also gave us a new iPhone SE that has the same old design but more powerful, so people don't have to make that transfer to Face ID. They know what they have and they're happy with it. They also gave us the Studio Display, which I think is okay, but I would rather get a 4K 120Hz mini LED monitor instead. And then they gave us this. Now, trust me, I absolutely love the iPhone 13. I think it's one of the best phones on the market, but adding a new color to it is not going to make me want to buy one if I haven't already bought one, especially since the iPhone 14 is like right around the corner. So honestly, I would rather save the money, wait for the iPhone 14. By the way, I did find some iPhone 14 leaks online, so comment down below if you want me to make an iPhone 14 leaks video, because I would really like to make that. So it was around halfway through the event. I was getting tired of watching. I was gonna rest my weary head, and then I saw this. This is quite literally the most powerful computer Apple has ever built, and I think it's the only Apple computer that had to eat another computer just to get so powerful. I mean, quite literally looks like one Mac Mini ate another Mac Mini. Wait, is that how Apple came up with the design? They put two Mac Minis on top of each other and bridged the gap. I think so. I think that's what they did. And you know what? Even if they did, this thing still looks awesome. It's an iconic design and I truly love it. So Apple made this computer to kind of bridge the gap between the Mac Mini and the Mac Pro, and in doing so they've made a machine that is more powerful than either of them. So before we get into specifics and specs and all that stuff, let's talk about pricing, because I think that's very important. So the base model of the Mac Studio, which comes with an M1 Max, 32GB of unified memory, 512GB of SSD storage, is going to set you back around $2,000, and people can live with that machine. It's truly powerful. But if you're someone like me who wants to get his little fingers on that shiny M1 Ultra, which you're gonna have to pay double, because you're getting literally everything double. With the M1 Ultra, you're getting 64GB of unified memory. That's the minimum. You're getting 1TB SSD, and you're paying also $4,000. I mean, it's quite obvious, right? You're getting double the M1 Max, so you better pay double the price, because you can get double the performance. You're gonna get double the satisfaction rate, right? Maybe not. More on that later. Now, the differences between the two models is not only specs and price, but surprisingly it is weight, but it is understandable. So the M1 Max comes in at 2.7 kg, while the Ultra weighs 3.6, and I can understand that because the M1 Ultra is literally double M1 Max, so you're gonna need double the cooling, you know, twice the chip, twice the cooling. Now, this is one of the few Apple laptops Apple computers, I do so many laptop videos. Apple computers that has a wide variety of ports. I mean, we're getting 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports, we're getting 2 USB-A ports, we're getting 1 Gigabit Ethernet port, we're getting 1 HDMI port, and those are all located on the back. On the front, we're getting an SD card reader and 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports, which I think is great. They should have done this on the Mac Mini, because I understand that people are tired of constantly reaching blindly behind their Mac Mini just to plug something in. So since I wanted to change this video up a bit, because I don't have a screen or keyboard or touchpad to look at, I wanted to bring up some specs. I want to do a comparison between the new M1 Ultra in the Mac Studio, compared it to its counterpart with the M1 Max, and then comparing that as well to a MacBook Pro 16 with an M1 Max. So in Cinebench R23, the M1 Ultra manages to destroy the competition in the multi-core test with an impressive score of 24,204 compared to the M1 Max Mac Studio, which only comes in at 12,309, and the MacBook Pro coming in at 12,320. Unsurprisingly, the single core scores are roughly the same with an average of 1,534. And then in Geekbench, we see similar scores with the M1 Ultra pulling ahead with a multi-core score of 24,179 compared to the M1 Max Mac Studio with a 12,663, and the MacBook Pro coming in at 12,629 with an average single core score across the board of 1,767. So the M1 Ultra is clearly quite an impressive and powerful CPU. I mean, what do you expect when Apple staples two M1 Maxes together? It's going, even with their surprisingly uninformative graphs and their claims, I do believe them. But there was one claim that did make me want to call.
An M1 Ultra delivers faster performance than the highest end GPU available, while using 200 watts less power.
The statement where they say the M1 Ultra delivers more performance than an RTX 3090 is simply not true. Comparing a Geekbench 5 compute test of an RTX 3090 and an Ultra shows that the RTX 3090 has more than double the score of 214,297 to the Ultra's 84,524. Even in gaming with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the RTX 3090 is getting an average FPS of 139 compared to Apple's 106 FPS. Really, Apple? I know you can back up a lot of the claims, but don't let that get to your head. As soon as you make statements like that, you better have the proof to back it up. Now, looking at the M1 Ultra documentation and comparing it to the M1 Max, there is one thing that I did notice, and is that both the M1 Max and the M1 Ultra draw the exact same 370 watts of power, and there's only one thing that came to mind when I saw this: underclocking. Yes, I think Apple is deliberately underclocking their new CPU for a very important reason. I think Apple is preparing to unveil a new Mac Pro that is going to outperform the Mac Studio. If you think about it, I think it's actually kind of clever. So Apple introduces a powerful computer to us. They know, they're like snickering behind the back, like, these guys, they think this is power. Wait until what we have in store. And then when they unveil the Mac Pro that is going to literally slam dunk the Mac Studio into oblivion. It's just a theory, but I think it is quite a valid theory. So I guess we can move on to the big question of this video. Would I recommend you to buy the new Mac Studio with the M1 Ultra? And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say no for numerous reasons, but let me list two of them. The fact that the M1 Ultra is being underclocked, it has the same power consumption as the M1 Max, shows in theory, I'm just saying it's a theory, that Apple has something more powerful coming down the line. And I know how it feels, and I'm sure many of you do too, to buy something new, expensive and powerful you think is the best, only for a month or two later that something better comes along and you feel like you've been played. So that's one of the reasons I wouldn't recommend it. And then number two, the second reason is that 90% of you who are watching this video are not going to need this kind of power. I mean, what are you really going to do? You're going to save 1 or 2 minutes when rendering a 4K video? I'd rather wait a little bit longer and save the money to get something better. So tell me what you guys think in the comment sections down below. Would you get the M1 Ultra? Would you not get the M1 Ultra? What do you think of the new Mac Studio? And you know what? The hell with it. What do you think of the the Display Studio as well? Because, you know, I'm a bit on the fence. And that is the end of the video, guys, and I'd like to thank you so much for watching it. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe, as well as smash that notification bell to be kept informed about my weekly videos. Anyway, guys, see you next Sunday. Have a good week.